Welcome back to the fields of Perthshire. This is going to be part 2 because in part 1 I found a fantastic big lead weight, what I think is possibly medieval, but it could even be Roman, which would be incredible if it was. And I told Marty about it. He is already out. He's been out for over an hour. He's at the far end of this field. And he's been messaging me while I've been eating my dinner for the last hour, sending me photographs of coins and other things that he's had, covering the pictures with emojis so that I can't see exactly what he's got, and desperately trying to get me to come and join him. So I have arrived. I'm back on the XP Deus 2. I couldn't even get it fully charged. I only got it to about 3/4 on the coil, but enough for what I need just now because I've only got an hour and a half of daylight maybe left, maybe 2 at a push. So let me see if I can go and find something epic. I know where the lead weight came from, and I know where the medieval dagger shape came from, and Marty doesn't, so I'm going to make a beeline straight for those spots. Let's see what we get. I've covered about half the ground between me and Marty. He was about 500 metres away. I'm roughly halfway, about 250, give or take. And finally, a signal taking me about 10 minutes and not a thing yet. A solid 83, 84. Surely it's too much to ask for another coin on the first hole. It's a little bit erratic. I'm thinking possibly tinfoil, but let's see what we get. I think I was right to think it was possibly something junk. I don't think it's foil though. Maybe a big bit of copper or lead pipe. What is that there? That is a piece of copper pipe for hole number 1. Oh well, the coin on the first holes couldn't last forever, but still, I knew it wasn't something amazing. Signals are very, very slow for me. I've only had that one dig, and that's me walked for almost 500 metres because I'm almost at Marty. He's about 50 metres away from me, 100 at a push. And this is where I found what I believe to be a medieval dagger shape last night. And the lead weight, I was working my way over here from the other side of this field. So the lead weight came 300 metres, 250 metres away from here. And over in the distance we have got a medieval fort, which was in use from just after the Norman conquest of England in the 1090s, give or take, all the way through until the 1500s. So I am hoping there is more to come because there is a trackway that goes across this field and we're not far away from it. So I'll go on and have a catch up with Marty first chance I get, but I'm going to just start to do a bit of a grid system. See if there's anything else medieval and tasty to be had. Martyn is getting closer. Sounds like he's whistling in the jungle, the lion jungle. The lion sleeps tonight for some bizarre reason, but anyway, we have a good signal here. Solid 72, 73, definitely a digger, and maybe some copper, maybe a bit of lead. Let's see what we get. Okay, Marty's over with me, and this was a nightmare to track down. It must have been on its edge. I must have moved it onto its edge, but anyway, got a little bit of pottery, probably Chinese, Japanese, sort of Victorian-ish era, I would say, popped out. But eventually found this, and we have got a little coin. I think it might be a farthing because of the size of it. Looks too small to be a halfpenny. And it's Edward the 7th. He's looking to the right, so he's a rarer king. Let's fill my hole in before I fall in it. Always fill your hole in. Don't do what Mr. Fletch sometimes does and put what you find, if it's junk, back in the hole, which infuriates us. So let me give this a wee rub up off camera and then we'll have a look at some of Marty's finds. Okay, giving it a wee rub-a-dub. It's a bit crusty, but you can make out Brit Omni Rex Fid Def Ind Imp. And we know it is Edward the 7th, Teddy Bertie, the son of Queen Victoria. He ruled from 1901 until about 1909, I think it was. Waited over 60 years for his dear mama to pop her clogs, and he didn't even last a decade. Heavy smoker, massive smoker, something like 60 cigarettes and 20 cigars a day. Heavy drinker, womanizer, playboy prince, and he paid the price. And then on the back we have got a farthing, and 1906, so roughly halfway through his reign. And yeah, it's a farthing. A farthing is a quarter of a penny. You don't get that many of them, and you don't get that many Edward the 7ths either. But saying that, Mr. Marty has got an Edward the 7th, but he's got an even rarer one because he's turned up a silver one. So let's have a look at that. Martyn is on the silver. Edward the 7th. You don't get many of him in silver. And it is Edward the 7th, by the grace of God, King of the Britons, Defender of the Faith, and Emperor of India. You can see him looking to the right hand side. It's in pretty good condition. The big 3 in the middle with the crown above it is 3p, a silver threepence. And the date is 1909, which I think is the year that he died. So beautiful to get a silver coin, always good. And it's in pretty good condition. Solid silver, well, 99.5% silver or thereabouts. Great find for Marty. Very well done. And Martyn has also got this coin. It's a little bit crusty. You can just make out a head in the middle. The bendy thumb doing its job. It is looking to the right hand side, and I don't think that the coin is irregular enough to be George the First, which makes me think it is a halfpenny of George the Third, which puts it 1760 to 1820, give it or take. You've heard it many times before. George III, the madness of King George. He married Princess Charlotte of Mecklenburg. He went on to have, I think it was something ridiculous, like 16 children. And the two of them had never met until their wedding day. So how's that for romance? But he ruled from 1760 to 1820, and it is an old coin. So yet another find for Martyn. Well done. And coin number 3 for Martyn. Georgius V, by the grace of God, King of the Britain, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. George V. So this is the grandfather of the present Queen. Dated 1936, 1 penny. So just 3 years before the outbreak of the Second World War. Nice condition. George V tends to be the most commonly found coin that we discover. It seems as if in between the war years, between the First and Second World Wars, it looks like there was a massive change in the amount of agriculture that was happening where we are in Perthshire, probably as a response to the blockades and the rationing that took place after the First World War, and also improvements in agriculture, fertilisers, machinery, farming techniques. Often people say, how do you find so many coins in the fields? And it's because most people didn't use banks, so they often carried their money or their wealth, not all of it, but most of it, and sometimes all of it, on their person. And if you're bending up and down in fields, planting, picking, harvesting, sowing, you're going to drop stuff. And that's what happens. So we get all the stuff that the people who have farmed the fields for hundreds of years generally lose. But it's 3 coins for Marty, and I'm playing catch up. The light is again fading fairly fast. Not going very well for me. Apart from that farthing, don't think I've really had any sort of decent signal until now. Solid 86, 87, so let's see what we get. Pretty shallow this one, only about 2 inches down because it's a bloody nightmare to dig. Thankfully it was shallow because I wouldn't have liked to have had to have gone deep for that. Now that is a huge musket ball, massive musket ball. So made of lead, fired from one of these big long barrelled sort of powder musket ball. Pre-bullet days, pre-cartridge bullet days. You would put a bit of powder down your barrel, put a ball down, bit of powder on your pan, and then light it, and off you would go, and that would probably come flying out at about 600 feet per second. That weighs about half an ounce, maybe even slightly more. You imagine that coming at you, that would be carnage. So date wise, probably 16 or 1700s I would guess. They were in use through to the beginning of the 1800s, but you know, who was it fired at, who fired it? It would be interesting to know. Could be from the period known as the Covenanters. It could be from the English Civil War, or the War of the Three Countries as we now call it. It could be from the Culloden era, the Jacobites. Could just be someone out hunting for a deer. Either way, it's a nice find. Always like to get a musket ball. 2 signals in 2 minutes. This one's a real ear blower. 65, 67. And doesn't sound very deep, either that or it's a really big target. Let's have a look and see. Definitely not a coin, maybe a buckle, or maybe something made of copper alloy potentially, or lead. Let's see what we get. So much for it being shallow. 3 spadefuls down. It came out on the 3rd spadeful. Thankfully the ground here is a hell of a lot less stony and easier to dig than over there, and somewhere it is there, I think. Yep, that is it. But what is it? It is a thing. It is a, I don't know, a hammerhead, miniature hammerhead for a jeweller. It's got a hole through it, I think, all the way through, potentially. It looks like that comes out there, although it's a bit filled with corrosion. Looks like it's copper alloy, so I was right in that respect. But what is it? Could it be old? It looks a little bit crudely made. Could it be like a toggle off a jumper, jacket, something like that? Or a cloak fastening or something? No idea on that one. I'm just guessing, but it does look like it's got a bit of age to it. So do let me know in the comments below. On to the next. Normally it's peat you can rely on to find the oddities, the weird things, especially if they're made from lead. But on this occasion, it's Marty that's done it. What the hell is that? That almost looks like a bird's foot. It's made of lead. It's got these marks on the inside. And it definitely looks like some sort of clawed foot. So, bizarre, but could be interesting, I suppose. Let us know in the comments below. And it wouldn't be metal detecting with Martyn if he didn't find a spoon. So there you go, complete with quite a big bowl on it. Copper alloy. Possibly it was electroplated or nickel plated, whatever they call it, EPNS, electroplate nickel silver. Date wise, I'm guessing it's probably Victorian or later. What do you think? Still, it's a find. And 2 coins in quick succession for Martyn. What's that, 5 coins, 6 coins he's up to now? This one's a real mess. Very crusty. You can make out the odd letter on one side. I think it's maybe been a ship's halfpenny, but very difficult to say. I would say it's probably going to be Victoria, but it could be George the 5th or even Edward the 7th, but that would be my guesses. Can't really see much on it, to be honest. The other one though, much better. It's a big penny, 1 penny. It is dated 1938, 1 year before the outbreak of World War II. 1 penny, beautiful Britannia there, a lovely olivey green colour, and that tells me it's going to be George the 6th. And there you have a very good looking bust of Georgius the 6th, by the grace of God, King of the Britons, Defender of the Faith, and Emperor of India. So George the 6th was the last emperor, or last king, to be considered the Emperor of India. India gained its independence 1947, and poor old George the 6th, he died in his bed 1952 if I remember rightly. Heavy smoker yet again. He'd had lung cancer already, and his daughter Elizabeth II took over as Queen, where she still remains today. Marty reckons this could be a coin. I'm not so sure. It is a solid 77, 78, so it's in halfpenny territory. We'll give it a bash and see. Seeing as it's the first time the two of us have been side by side, Marty's going to dig it for me. We're doing a live dig. Look at this. Oh, amazing. Oh, out like a professional in the first hole. Got the Garrett carrot at the ready. I think it's going to be a bullet. What, that there? It is that, I think. Is it that? It is. It's a little bit of tin foil. Mr. Kipling strikes again. But he does make exceedingly good cakes. Allegedly. Marty's on hand to dig for me again. I've got an 87. Marty says, I say, could be a coin. But hopefully it's nice and stony ground for him, so he's got to work for it. Oh, look at this, he's a professional. Out in the first hole again. Right, the light is fading. No, it's a bit of lead, I think. Is it a lead seal, though? Could be a lead seal. Looks like it's got something on it anyway. Ooh. I love you. It's got something on it anyway. Right, okay, I'll give this a wee rub up off camera and get back to you. I've given it a wee rub-a-dub and we have this. It's made of lead. I'm guessing it's a lead seal. Maybe it's some sort of token or counter. It's got a hole through it, you can see there. It goes right through, so it's been hung from something. Maybe round someone's neck or through a bag or round a bag or round a bale or something. And it looks like it says 100, I think. I have never had one of them before. What do you reckon? Date wise and age wise, I would say it's going to be at least 100 years old surely, isn't it? Most of the lead seals we get tend to date from the 17 into the 1800s, so I would guess it's probably going to be that kind of date. But if you know better, then let me know. in the comments below. Okay, this is going to be the last signal. Came through at 66. Hopefully Marty's going to dig it. He reckons it's a bit scratchy. I think it's diggable. Let's track it down. It is right about there. Marty's handy to have around, I tell you. This is magic. You should just leave your detector at home, Martyn. Look at this, he's such a professional. He gets it first time in the hole every time. Right, if you could just dig it out for me and then hand me it as well. Maybe identify it for me as well. Oh, it's a bit of lead. Is it lead owned by Robert the Bruce? It is a bit of lead. A slither of lead. Well, that is going to be us, because daylight is rapidly disappearing. It's getting on to 10 o'clock now. And we're going to lose the light in just a matter of minutes. I'm surprised I'm still able to focus with my camera. But that was a pretty eventful wee day, and find of the day I think has to be Martyn and his lead claw, and also his Edward VII silver coin, because you don't get many Edward VII silvers. So we will leave it there. Another great day's detecting. Thanks for watching.